Hello everyone, welcome to my channel here at Moose Plaid Mountaineer. My name is Seth. Thank you very much for tuning into this video. I have two aspects that I wish to talk about when it comes to plier head multi-tools. And the first one is going to be attack of the clones. Which is built closest like the real thing, okay? Obviously I'm referring to the real thing of the Leatherman Surge. So today I'm going to do a breakdown of at least two plier head multi-tools, the popular Bibury, okay, plier head multi-tools alongside with, oh, hold on a second, I don't think I put it out. Where is it here? Oh, here it is. Sorry, my thunder kind of went up in smoke a little bit. The Rocktol, okay? And I want to talk about their practical messages of use, highlight where each one really shines, and answer the big question, which one makes the best backup plier head in a welding environment or for long-term use. And the second one I want to talk about is a little bit more serious, but I'll save that for a little bit later. So let's try to go through this first part quick. That way I can gauge you with what I feel is a little bit more important. First and foremost, I think everyone can say that the Leatherman Wave is as close to holy mackerel, I'm sorry. I'm going left and right here with my words. The Leatherman Wave is as close as you can get to have the gold standard. As a matter of fact, I truly think it represents the gold standard. But if anyone truly knows me, my gold standard straight up is the Leatherman Surge. Okay, this is my go-to. I love it. It fits perfectly in my hand. For me, I think the Leatherman Surge, the Leatherman Wave is just a slight bit too small, but it does not, in the least, diminish its value and capability and practicality in the various settings that it has been throughout the last 21-ish, actually technically, last like 24 years, 25 years of its release. Okay, all that aside, since their patents have expired in the late 2010s, early 2020s, we'll call it, okay? They started releasing all these, right, clones, all these lookalikes, and it really, absolutely they took the ground running for their capabilities and their similarities that they had with Leatherman. Now the real question is how do they compare, okay? And that's really what I want to talk about, okay? So the comparabilities to these are straightforward, okay? So first and foremost, if you close these up, you have your standardized box tools, right? All three of them are. The only catch is that every single one of these box tools have four main outside accessible tools, which are for a lot of people who carry multi-tools, the four main tools that a lot of people think to use on an impromptu setting, okay? So first, let's go with the Bibury. So first you have this is your serrated blade, okay? And if you notice, I had to pull this back a little bit to engage it. So they have a very sharp and very aggressive serrated blade. If you compare that with the Wave, you'll notice that it's actually less aggressive. This is a little bit more aggressive than the Wave, okay? People have said that there have been mild complaints about them leaving slight burrs on the back of this blade here. The ones that I've gotten, I personally haven't seen them, but they've been very effective blades nonetheless, okay? And for me, this is one of the main tools that I use on a daily basis, but again, it's gonna be, in my case, it's gonna be on my Leatherman Surge here, right? This is the one I use a lot. This is the one I carry when I'm out and about. I have a different one that I carry for work, hence why it looks a little bit nicer. But this is a blade that I use frequently, right? So it's my favorite used blade. The other one that we have here for the outside uses, okay, comparatively amongst each other, is your straight blade. You know, you have your Leatherman straight blade, and then you have your Bibury straight blade here, okay? Oh, sorry, I'm leaving this guy out. and here's the straight blade for the Rocktool. All of them comparably and virtually the same visually, okay? So the steels here that you have for the tool steels and blade steels are, you have a 420 HC, okay, for your stainless steel in the Leatherman. I think that's common knowledge for a lot of people. And what you have here is I just forgot it. It is a CR 313, I believe. It's a CR. So the CR stands for chrome, okay, for the element. Okay, so this is a chrome-based blade, which has high resistance to any type of rust or oxidation, which is a plus. Only thing is for these guys, what it means is that they tend to chip a little bit if you try to sharpen them super fine point. I don't know to what degree, because I've never had to get an insanely sharp blade on these, mainly due to the stuff that I cut. But I know, like, if people work in kitchen stuff or, you know, all that stuff, a lot of those guys use ultra finely sharpened knives, right? And so that's why when it comes to blade steels, a lot of people are very particular when it comes to how sharp they have their knife. But in regards to me, how sharp I'm able to get every single one of these three is more than enough for what I need and for what I'm going to use them for, okay? So these blades are all comparative. They all have a liner lock, okay? So it's anyone who is outside the UK. And by the way, if I may say so, I really think that these tools were released to be, I don't know, maybe this is just me being a little bit conceited, but I feel like these tools these plier head multi-tools are meant to give kind of an elbow jab to the United States, particularly because there isn't any current laws mainly for somebody just walking around up and down the street with a plier head multi-tool and to get stopped, right? Going outside the US, obviously that is a very different story. You all have your respective laws and restrictions and rules that you got to follow. So, and I understand that. But do you see kind of my point of view and why I think this is kind of jabbed against the United States a little bit? Okay, so another one that is comparable to the Leatherman Wave are the fact that now they have a file, a diamond file, a metal filing file capable that is not just the Leatherman Wave or the Leatherman Surge or Curl or any of those other tooling plier head multi-tools that have the diamond file on it. The diamond file, common knowledge, again, this is probably one of the best you'll get on any multi-tool, alongside with the Leatherman Surge, with its T-shank adaptable capabilities, which actually, I don't have that one here, but because I put my hacksaw blade in there. But this is a very, very good tool. I have used it on, I don't know if I brought it out. I think that's the one knife I didn't bring out. I will show it to you on this guy. Okay, I'll show it to you on this guy, on the bigger Rocktol. Okay, so the Rocktol has one too, right here. But, and I used it a lot on mild steel. I used to have a job about 2 years ago where I conjoined a lot of welded aluminum implements and then had to fasten them to mild steel. And so just to do kind of impromptu deburring, I would, use this on the mild steel. I would use the crosscut for aluminum. And this is actually the very one that I used, I believe. This very plier head multi-tool a couple years back. I used it for about 5-6 months every day. And it did work fairly well. There was a little bit of a wear line on it. I went online and I bought another one because it lasted about 3-4 months, and then I could tell this coating was starting to come off, okay? But as you can tell, if you look here at the one that I have on the Leatherman, right? This one I've used a lot. I've used this one for several years. It's quite clear it has wear on it, but you can still feel a lot of the diamond coating still there. It's very well done. And that's really what it comes down to with Leatherman. It's a very well done product. So people have an absolute trust behind it. So really when it comes down to it is, when you see plier head multi-tools like this, right? It really comes down to the question for a lot of people, which is, do I spend $150 on something like the Leatherman Surge, or $120. All right, which is sad because when I first got these in 2005, these were at its highest between $105 and $110. They weren't $150 like they are now. It just kind of makes me sad. Sorry, I digress. So the question is really, do you really spend $120 on something like the Leatherman Wave to have absolute assurity that you'll have top-notch ability and functionality, or do you essentially make a risk or rationalize the risk for between $30 to $80, right? Between, like, say something like these price points. It's not like this is 30 and that's 80, but they have a range where that price range exists within there, right? Do you rationalize the risk between the $30 and $80 mark and get about 90% of that full functionality that you're expecting? Okay, so it really comes down to just how hard you're going to use it. Now, for someone like me that has put this guy through the absolute ringer because I'm a welder, I think that is the absolute and ultimate test environment. If it could handle well in welding, and you could use it, say, for, we'll call it a solid year in welding, this guy could go anywhere. It doesn't matter. It does not matter practically, okay? Because the welding environment is absolutely ruthless what you do to it, okay? Anyways, I'll get focused again. So let's talk about some of the components that are so very important to a lot of people, okay? Because I tested this tested this guy and this guy across a several month span when it comes to scissors, wire cutting, screwing, sawing, and repeated opening and closing. And I've defined the values of these colognes in five basic expected functions that should at least be very, very good, okay? First, you have the cutting ability, okay? So with its blades. So the cutting ability with its blades, you have your blade that is very, excuse me, I'm just getting it. I forgot to bring this over. Okay. You have your cutting blade that's very, very sharp. What's nice about this, right? Notice, I'm hardly putting any pressure on that. Okay, hardly any pressure on it, it's just pulling right through. And this is one that I have used quite a bit. So that blade is still very, very sharp, which is impressive to me. So the steels that they use overseas and the steels that they use over here, the formulas to get that ideal steel composition is very close. And so their functionality, durability, and retention is going to be similar, okay? So the reason why I'm putting theirs in here, because I've had people say, well, I want only American product supported, and I fully support that. I love American product, and God bless America 100%, okay? But you have to understand that not everybody can afford a $150 multi-tool, $120 multi-tool, or even an $80 Leatherman curl, for that matter, okay? So you want maximum functionality with the amount of money that you invest in there, with the expected durability that you're hoping to get out of it, okay? So, which is what I'm talking about, okay? So for all those people who are definitely a little bit tight on money, and I know I'm not the only one, okay? I'm tight on money just like a lot of working hard Americans here, okay? There has to be other options that offer that same functionality in relation to security to be able to solve and meet unprecedented issues and problems that come in your everyday that you're not expecting, okay? Which lead me, well, I'm not gonna go quite there yet, sorry. Okay, so you have that cutting ability. We talked about the filing ability a little bit. Now we're gonna talk a little bit about the scissors. Okay, the scissors on here are styled out just like the Wave, okay, which are right here. I can get them out. There we go. No. Okay, so they're styled out just like the Wave. Okay, right there. If you look at the Wave here, it's going to be the same. Everyone knows where the Wave scissors plier heads are, or excuse me, the scissors are right here. Okay, this one's styled exactly like the Wave. Okay, and these two are as well very much comparable. So you have two materials that I think of that I work with a lot. I work with around a lot of cardboard. See, this is the This is the Rocktol, right? Everybody knows that it functions well, okay? Or excuse me, I would expect it to function well. Here's the Leatherman Wave, okay? It also functions very well. But what's interesting is that these scissors on the scissors on the Rocktol are just a hair bigger than the ones on that you'll find on the Leatherman Wave, okay? And that makes actually a decent amount of difference. You could feel it when you're cutting too, okay? It just feels, honestly, it does feel a little bit, just a touch more natural when you're cut with it, okay? And that is to Rocktol's credit, okay? And that is something to be really thinking about and considering about when it comes to ingenuity of if or how we should update the scissors, okay? The other aspect that I think about scissor cutting that I actually deal with a lot in a welding environment, okay, that some people, that you can deal with in a residential, but I deal with it a lot in a welding environment, are zip ties, okay? Now, just because I don't want to cut a zip tie that's not tied up, I feel like that's wasteful. I'm just going to do this to kind of justify my mindset of, okay, it's being used. All right, so it still cuts it well. You know, it kind of ticks it into place, right? The Rocktol is about the same, okay? All right. Now, what about a bigger zip tie? Which I do have I have about two of these over here. What about a thicker zip tie? How does it do? It's a little bit tougher. You could tell that it takes a bit of struggle to go through. How about the Leatherman? That's taking a little bit longer, but it still does it just fine. And I can do multiple cuts. Because it's smaller, it wears on my thumb, against my thumb a lot more. And I have to do that typical handshake, right, that you kind of do when your hand's a little bit tired. So again, that size comparison, you can tell just by looking at it, is a big deal, okay, when you're talking about scissoring, okay? Now, if you just throw something else into the mix, right, like say, oh, my Victorinox, right, that I have here, my Huntsman light, it's essentially a Huntsman light, right? And you get something like, say, oh, the zip tie that I've been cutting here, right? You see that it kind of slips a little bit. You have to get it right back in the fulcrum and cut it, right? You have to force it in there, right? That's just because of the design of the scissors. It's not because they're not sharp, right? It's that scissor design, okay? So scissors are a key factor because in a lot of respects, they're a lot more useful than knives are, okay? So to have a scissor that holds up well, and this does hold up very well, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to, if you're way far somewhere and you don't have that pair of scissors from your kitchen or your office, and you're in your F-150 or your car, and this is the only scissors you have, and there's a lot of multiple cuts you got to do, you're going to be feeling it more than if you're going to be in this. This feels just a little bit more natural, and actually this little landing is a little bit wider as well than what you have on the Leatherman Wave, if you catch that. So you're going to feel it less on the Rocktol, okay? I'm just being honest here, okay? So that's the scissoring aspect of it, okay? After that, you have the screwdriver capability, and this is where things start getting a little bit more bumping heads here, okay? Because with the Leatherman, everybody knows, there we go. Everybody knows that with the Leatherman, you have your two-dimensional Phillips drivers or bits, right? Which is very handy. You could switch them in and out. This adds the functionality up to anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30 and even more, right? As long as it's able to fit that bit, or if it's able to fit the extension piece that fits into this, fits into the base there, right? Okay. So with that said, that is a very advantageous tool. But keep in mind what Rocktol has done, and this is also the case with Bibury, which I think makes them very advantageous, is they have a side that is specifically dedicated to your typical 1/4-inch bits that you can get anything from your drill, anything for your drill gun to any of those Klein hand screwdrivers that can hold the multiple bits, right? it is substantially more versatile than the Leatherman, which I think it puts a huge edge on that, okay? And keep in mind that Leatherman hasn't had a whole lot of changes when it comes to their bit drivers since their inception and release, okay? And one thing I do want people to understand is that, first and foremost, Leatherman is claimed to have about, I think it's an 18 function, general kind of multi-tool functionality, plier head multi-tool, okay? And the Biburys, especially these larger ones, like the one I just showed you here, or this Rocktol right here, if I may, okay? Here, let's pull out a Bibury real quick, just so you guys can see. They're essentially the same thing. It's nothing like anything particular. I have one here that I got a few months ago. I'll pull it out here so you guys can see it, okay? So here it is in the box, right? It's this guy. Right? I put it in one of my videos a couple months back, but I'm gonna kind of go in depth a little bit more on it, okay? So this feels very much like a Leatherman Surge, but it has the surface feeling of almost as if it's one of the free series of the Leathermans, right? That kind of textured, kind of indentation style, right? And if you notice, even on here, you have a dedicated bit driver, okay? Right here. I'm gonna move these guys away just for a minute, okay? You have a dedicated bit driver there, okay? That bit driver goes from your standard 19 to 21 and 1 that they always give for these larger multi-tools, all the way over to 30, right? Because you could add over 10 to 12 and even plus size bits on this guy, right? Everything from your star to your square to your Phillips you could add it all, okay? And it's there. It's a lot more varied bit drivers with all sorts of applications, being the fact that it's that 1/4-inch bit driver, making it literally the most functional above all other multi-tools, okay? Out of the sheer fact that they have this, okay? And so I think that is something genuinely to look at. It really, really is, all right? And so this is nothing that is new. These have been out for about 5 to 7 years or so. A lot of these models, maybe a little bit more. But the bit driving capability is crucial for a lot of people, okay? Now, one of the functions I will show you that is very important, particularly, if I may, in a welding environment, and this is the last one I'll talk about, and then I'll do the best I can to briefly talk about my second point. It's your plier head capabilities, okay? So, if I may, I'll pull out a Leatherman Surge, okay, which is the one that I have here, okay, because I already know how this is going to cut it, because I've done it hundreds of times, right? Okay, so you only, just have to, there we go. So there it is, just cuts it just fine, okay? Right, it cuts it fine. It cuts it well. And on that, if you're having trouble with the back one, you have this back one here. Cuts it just fine. It's an excellent plier head, right? When it comes to that, okay, for hard wire and soft wire cutting. Okay, the issue I have. This is the singular issue I have with the Bibury. Okay, and I don't think I brought this model out. I wish I did so I could show you. That's okay. I'll try to show you in one of my next videos. So the issue I have with this, if you notice. I don't have a good, oh wait, I can show you here because this Rocktol has it. Strangely enough, this Rocktol has it. Out of all the tools I'm showing you to prove my point, right? So if you look here, they're two straight surfaces right there, right? If you look at how the wire enters in, I'll do the best I can to show you. I don't know if it's gonna, right? You're putting something cylindrical right there. Okay, you see that? And then when you close it, let's see if I could try to mimic. Yeah, when you close it like that, you see you have a single point of contact on a cylindrical surface, radiated surface, more like it. Okay, so what that does is over time it will actually cause micro crack fracturing on the surface of those hard wire cutters. And it will get to a point where it will crack and it will just crumble off, which is actually what happened to one of my rock tools. So in regards to a welding perspective, these wire cutters actually are not very good, okay, when it comes to wire cutting. And if you could tell, wait, oh, hey, oh my gosh, I feel like an idiot. This is the one that busted, sorry. Silly me, yeah, you can see it there, you see it's cracked off? I can't believe I didn't realize that. Yeah, so that's exactly what happened. I was actually just cutting some aluminum wire when that happened. It wasn't even, aluminum is not a very hard wire. So when it comes to cutting hard wire, I really wouldn't trust it for long-term use. And that goes with the case with this Bibury too. It's the exact same style. You see, you have it. It's kind of brought in there where it's curved, but it's straight. That means this side's going to break over this side, okay? And if you look at this, the rock tool I was telling you about, okay, here we are. If you look at the rock tool that I was mentioning about, you see how it has a double crescent? That is actually designed to help you create around three equal points of shearing pressure on each side, as to avoid and prevent that style of micro cracking. These pliers will far exceed anything that happens on these guys. These are far better than these guys. All right, far better, okay, because of the design. Okay, and the reason why the Leatherman does so well as well for repeated use is also because a little bit of the design, they actually have that built into you see how it kind of goes in a little bit on the top? It's a little ingenuine kind of indentation on each side, almost as if it is a little bit of a crescent. That is because it's to help prevent those microfracturings for repeated cutting use in hardwire, okay? So my final conclusions is, are they meant for the welding environment? I do not think so. Okay, so the Biburys, except for maybe the exception of this guy because of the style of cutter, won't last super long when it comes to a lot of the welding environment uses, okay? And that is a determination I made a little over a year ago when I did all this for the first time, okay? Now, for the last little point, and I'll try to be as quick as I can on this because I don't want the video to go super long, and my apologies if I've bored any of you, okay? So the second thing I want to talk about a little bit is the notion of first responding, okay? Right now, if you were here right now where I'm at, it's quite cool outside. It's probably in the low 50s right now where I'm at. Wind's blowing, so you get the wind chill factor, and I'm in my garage, okay? I got both garage doors open to help promote the light that you're getting for this video here, okay? So there's kind of a wind tunnel going through here. So, which brought me to want you guys to talk about just, we're in that time of year where a lot of natural disasters can happen, okay? Because we're in climate shifts, right? From summer to fall and even slowly going into winter, right? There's gonna be a lot of unprecedented weather and scenarios that just occur without warning. Okay, so what is just some general methods, supplies that are important for those scenarios? Okay, let me show you first. Let me clear off all these tools, okay, so you guys can see it. Take off my Leatherman. Okay, this is my car kit that I have in my F-150, okay, and I'm going to show you what's inside it, okay. Now, I have a few things. This is not an extravagant kit, mind you. This is just stuff that I would use just to get me out of a pinch, okay. So I have just a notebook that I would use if I had to jot down something because like I'm having issues with my phone. I have a pen, or good grief, I have a pad, okay? Behind the pad here, just, I have some cough drops I put there. I thought, especially for if I have like if I have like a cough or something like that, I don't know. I thought it would be a good thing to have. I have a lighter. I also have some duct tape here. And this duct tape is more than just sticking things together. This is also an impromptu bandage, right? So what I would do is I would get this with, this is also part of it, this pencil here, or excuse me, the toilet paper here. I have the pencil for the pad. Okay, and I would, if it's a severe enough like little cut or injury that you have and you're nowhere near anywhere that has supplies, you would get the toilet paper, you would wrap it around, and then you'd use the duct tape as a permanent wrap to add the added pressure on there, right? If it's a severe enough one. If it's a decent cut, then you could use the Band-Aid method and then use a little bit of the duct tape after that, right, to be able to secure it. Okay. Also, what I have here, let's see here. I have this power pack. It still works. It's one of my older ones. Okay. I check it about once a month to make sure it still has battery. To charge your phone. Okay. As well. So yeah, it's an older one, and I have some alcohol wipes and other stuff here. A little more handful of Band-Aids. One thing that I use more than anything in this pack is Band-Aids. I've actually replaced this at least, between the two, I've replaced the Band-Aids at least twice in my kit because they get used a lot, especially with boys and stuff. When you're out and about, something happens, they need a Band-Aid, right? So, anyways, so that's my general kit for the most part, and of course I have that's my Victorinox Fieldmaster, okay, because it has everything from the screw to the saw right here. So I have yes, it is the Fieldmaster, okay, and I've busted this out a few times, particularly when I'm in an environment when it's rare, but I don't have my actual Swiss Army knife on me. It's rare, but I actually have been caught once without it, and I needed basic functionality, and so I knew I had this kit in my F-150, and I pulled this guy out and I used it. If you can see, technically needs to be cleaned. It's a little dirty from the last time I used it, which probably would be a bad idea for me to do today. So, anyways, I just wanted to give you a brief. It's nothing super. It's not a super extravagant kit, okay? It's nothing super extravagant. For a lot of my everyday uses that I have, that I've used in it, it's been there mainly for my boys and occasionally for me, okay? Which brings me to the next topic I want to talk to you about. Yeah, I thought of a third one. Sorry if this video is going long. Is what about having smaller plier head multi-tools, right? Like the really smaller type. You have a smaller, grippier pair of pliers that you could really get a good grip on, but you don't want something too huge. There's the Bibury Outdoor Mini Multi-Tools, what they call it, okay? And it's the B1 205 2051, okay? That's the one it is, okay? And this is a very much a plier-based multi-tool, okay? And on the outside here, and yes, it does cut very nicely. You could even cut one of these. Again, I would, and it does cut it, fairly well, right? Because it's a solid state, okay? So they cut well, okay? So you have that one, and then the other one that I do have that I've used once or twice before. Where'd I put it? I know it's here somewhere. Seriously? Oh, here it is. All right, here it is. This is the other one that I've used a little bit. I got a second one because I liked it so much. Okay, and this is a scissor-based one. This one here is called the Keychain Rescue multi-tool, okay? Because it has a large pair of scissors on it, okay? Because, you can cut something like, this is a piece of elastic that I have. I use that. I've never used it yet, but I have seen it where people just get a piece of elastic like this, right? And they use it to kind of put added tension on any deep cuts, right? Where they just need to have that added pressure so it keeps the bleeding down, right? And then they wrap it later, and then they put something like I showed you, like the duct tape on it to hold it in place so that they could get to a hospital or a medical center where they could get the proper attention. I have seen this used before, and I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to keep this in my kit too. Okay, so I have this in my kit. just as an in-case little tidbit here, okay? And so the question really that when it comes down to it, that you have to ask yourself, whether it's you're doing a working task environment, or it's a first responding, wanting to be quick on your feet and get what needs to get done environment, which one is the absolute best for you, okay? Personal opinion, because of my environment and my work style and workplace, the Leatherman Surge is the absolute best for me. I can't ask for anything better. I have 3 of these. Okay, I have one for work, I have one for leisure, and I have an extra one that I will give to my boys when they get older, so that they can carry it with them, whether it's in their car or near them. But I want them to know that with this, you can do anything that you can do, that you need to, on an emergency level and an unexpected scenario level, period, okay? Which is generally the scenario of my video, all right? So, but my recommendations are, if you are somebody who is really tight on money and you're stressed out about the notion of possible emergency scenarios, there is absolutely nothing wrong with getting a Bibury, okay? When it comes to emergency scenarios, this will work masterfully for you. I can absolutely vouch for it. It is not a welding environment. You're not putting it through an absolute brutal scenario. But when it comes to a lot of general basic tasks, you can use this and it will work masterfully for you and be very reliable, okay? Again, I will put all the information of these multi-tools in this video. I'll put some other materials and items that I use in my emergency kits in this video, okay? And I really hope you consider to carefully prep as well for any possible scenarios that you may be in, all right? I want you all to succeed. I want you to live a happy, long life, and I want you to be prepared. I want you guys to be the hero of the moment. And thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.